Hi, everyone. I'm Tearsa Smith, and thank you for joining me for Voices of the Valley. In our last episode, I sat down with Vol for Life Sterling Henton. He talked about his start in football and his love for the entertainment industry. Here now is part 2 of our conversation. In 2018, you had a moment that was kind of a roadblock. And I'll never forget, and I remember this, the morning that we had to report that you were arrested for passing a check, a $95,000 check that ended up putting you in headlines. Talk about what happened with that.
Well, what happened with that, it was a mix-up in names. I had a friend of mine call me about 3 months prior to all coming out. He had a big deal for me, and I thought, well, cool. I thought it was a show or something or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I got another call from a gentleman. He's going to have somebody. He said he's going to have somebody call me.
Okay.
And I got another call from another gentleman saying, well, you should have gotten a call from one of my associates saying this, that, and the third. I said, well, I figured that's my boy. Okay, we'll do it. And so he told me what I was going to do, and he's going to send me a check. Okay, well, all right.
This is for a show?
I thought it was for a show.
Show, okay.
And then he told me that the check was for some medical supplies, and that my cut was 10%,
okay,
something like that. So that I couldn't get in touch with my friend because he was, at the time, he told me he'd get back to me when he get back from Europe. So I couldn't reach him over there. And so the check came, it sat in my living room for 3-4 weeks, but this guy kept calling me. Mm-hmm. 2 or 3 times a week. You get the check? Yeah, I got a check, but I didn't deposit it yet because I want to talk to my guy that you say is your guy. So I checked the company out, had a director of board of directors and everything on the website and everything. I'm making sure everything, trying to dot my I's across my T's because although it's not a lot of money, it's a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And so the name of one of the board of directors was the exact same name of a friend of mine.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, so I said, let me just try to deposit the check. So I deposited the check. And then the bank called me and said that they cleared the check. And I said, okay, well, Sterling, don't you want to speak to one of our investment guys about what to do with this money? I said, no, I don't want to touch the money right now. Let me just see what's going on.
Right.
Okay. And so I thought I'd be able to get in touch with my guy who had the same name as the guy at the board of directors that I couldn't get in touch with that went to Europe, who I thought we was doing music together, but it was this deal, allegedly. So then the bank calls me like 4 days later and says, Sterling, unfortunately the check showed to be fraudulent. And we're gonna have to let you know the check is fraudulent, and we're gonna take $15 out of your account for depositing a bad check. Okay. I said, okay, cool. I didn't do anything wrong. I never encumbered the money. Never touched the money. Money stayed in my account. So everything, only person at the time that took a loss was me for the $15. Okay? So
what was your thought when the bank called you? Were you not confused? Like, what was your thought?
I wasn't confused. What I did was when the guy called me again, and I said, I just sent you an email. Because I asked you inside this long, we have an email thread that's going on for a month and a half. Okay. I kept the entire email thread. And at the time when the bank called me, I was actually in Florida, okay, doing a AAU tournament, national AAU tournament. I pulled over to the side of the road, got on my phone, typed on the email, sir, do not contact me again. I told you I only do compliant and above board business. I said, any man who tells a lie in business is something else other than a man to me. Do not contact me again. That's all in the email. So when he called, I said, I just sent you an email. Don't contact me again. Hung the phone up. So then, as I'm down in Florida, I get another call, I guess the next day, from white-collar crime division in Knoxville. Gentleman called me, and I says, yes, sir. I said, he went over the whole scenario, what he wanted to talk to me about. I said, sir, I'm flying back tomorrow. we'll get together the next day. So he told me to call him. He did say that, told me to call him. So at the time I'm in Florida, I'm flying back. I'm supposed to get back at 11 o'clock in the morning. Instead, there was so much bad weather in Florida during that time. My flight got delayed. I didn't get back till 11 o'clock at night. And the next day, I had to catch a flight to Vegas. I was doing a big event in Vegas. And I was with some real high-profile people, you know.
Right.
So I did not call the gentleman. That was with the White Collar Crime Division. I did not call him. And so at the time I'm on stage speaking in front of 4,000 people, and my phone is ringing like no other. And I'm like, well, I'll get back to him. And so I finished speaking, went backstage, picked the phone up. It was a friend of mine in Knoxville that alerted me that there's a warrant for my arrest. I said, for what? I ain't done nothing. I said, man, is Ashton Kutcher somewhere around here? Am I getting punked? What's going on? Right. He said, no, Sterling, it's serious. You have a warrant for your arrest for whatever those charges were. I said, I'll deal with it when I get back. So when I got back, I said I was coming back. I was scheduled to come back that Friday. Instead, I came back that Thursday morning.
Okay.
So I took a red eye out. Got here, turned myself in, and even when I turned myself in, the people at the jail was like, well, something's wrong with this. There's no signature here, there's no signature there. I said, look, man, I just don't want no problems. Okay, let me just go through this. So we did all that. Then I visited with some attorneys to see what's going on, and nobody understood. And I had my email thread. So I sent my email thread to my attorney. He said, Sterling, you didn't do anything wrong. I said, I know, but this warrant says something else. So at the time, my arraignment was set for that Tuesday. Then it gets pushed off to Friday. Then it gets pushed off to Monday. Anyway, my arraignment gets pushed out for 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. And then, you know, it's Knoxville and everybody has a job to do. It gets leaked out to a person like yourself having to report it.
Right.
It's reported. So now the world is, you know, everybody has their way of thinking when they get information.
Oh, yeah. And everybody has an opinion.
Everybody has an opinion.
Right.
And so their thought processes and the opinions start happening. All I said was, I'm trusting the process. One thing about America and the process and the judicial system today, the checker has to be checked. People are in charge of doing that. And everybody has their way of moving things. And once again, remember, I done turned myself in. I was never arraigned. Never arraigned. But now it's public knowledge of the charges that I was, and the part I was never arraigned never came to the public. So as these weeks go on, 4 weeks of, you know, more investigation, I'm fully cooperative, give them all the information they need. They got the emails, my cell phone, they got everything, so on and so forth. When I am finally arraigned, the charges were dropped. So the charges became public knowledge, but they were never pressed on me. But, you know, the fact that maybe I didn't call the gentleman back when I thought I was gonna call him, maybe that 99 times out of 100, it says what he thought I was, and I may have been that one in that one situation.
What was it like for you? Because you've, you know, always been a very public person here, especially in Knoxville. What was it like, kind of, the public perception fighting that and trying to rebrand yourself after that?
Well, you know, as far as public perception, when I was thankful there, you know, a lot of people thought what they thought, but people that knew me knew what they knew. There's no way in the world Sterling Henton's ever gonna put himself on the line for that little bit amount of money.
Okay.
It's not an option. Okay. The people that knew me knew that. People that wanted me to be who they thought that the information said I was, let me know who I need to be my friends and spend time with, who I don't with. See, that was a flushing time for me. I never looked at it as a negative. You know, and other things that happened during that process, you know, when I'm getting gas and somebody I don't know walk up to me and say, hey, you're Sterling, you stood up here, right? Hey, can I hold $90,000?
Wow.
Imagine that. Imagine going to work out. And everybody knows where I run. I run this same course, and I'm working, and the guy walks up to me, hey, and this is the fifth time. This is not the first time. It's the fifth time in a matter of 4 weeks that information became public information. He walks up to me and said, hey, Stir the Pearl, can I borrow 90 grand? I said, man, that money gone already. So he walks up to me kind of aggressive, like, what? And we all know what that means. What? Now, you know, I'm not the baddest guy around, but I don't look easy, you know.
No, you're very tall.
I don't look easy, but you know, there are better guys out there than I am. And he walked up kind of aggressive to me. I said, man, look, you got it. Now, those are just two instances that happened during that process that no one knows about. Had I acted probably as people are thinking I should have acted, how much worse that could have gotten. When I finally got to my arraignment, had I reacted like someone said, it's okay in their mind, but not okay to the law.
That's right.
See?
That's right.
And so when those things happen, I just look at it as a test. You know, I'm Ellen Henton's son. Ain't nobody disappoints her. And, yeah. So if I'd have reacted, that could have been typical. Mm-hmm. Now my mother got a son that got an assault charge.
Right.
Over charges that we dropped.
Right.
Yeah, that couldn't be dropped.
Do you feel like this was a learning period for you? Because you weren't guilty,
right.
but there were lessons. I feel like anytime something happens in your life, it is a learning lesson if you choose for it to be.
Absolutely.
Do you find yourself more grateful for the position you're in now? Because, you know, life goes on.
Yeah,
everybody got a story. Life goes on.
Yeah, what I found to be during that moment was, it was a test that prepared me for the position I'm in right now. You know, we all go through things. We all got a story.
Yes.
We all got something that makes us stronger or weaker at that point. Now, what we do at that point gives us a reflective moment to share and pay it forward. Mm-hmm. See, I can tell my story and tell them what I did and have facts behind it. Mm-hmm. I don't have to say sorry twice. Now, what I always been apologetic for, the people that know me, that had to deal with things that I know nothing about with them, was, yo, heard your boy stir. That part, I apologize for that. But when it all came down, when we stood in front of the judge said, this thing is dropped. It was never a case. So that's another situation where, you know, things happen over nothing. But what you gonna do? You know, I talk to young people nowadays, you know, that live a certain way or think that way is glorified, that might be a little bit more to the left than to the right. I said, well, what are you really doing? Mm-hmm. I said, one thing about kicking it is fun.
It is, for the moment.
Hey, it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. You know, a vacation is fun. Yes. But if all you're doing is kicking it, and all you're doing is on vacation, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. The only time you really enjoy a vacation when you finish working. The only time you enjoy kicking is when you finish working. Where's the work? And if you out there doing things that might hurt people in a way, the way if they did them to you, gonna hurt your people that love you, what are you really doing? So enjoy your time to kick it. Go kick it. I mean, I tell you, if it come to kick it, I'm Pele. You know what I'm saying? I love kicking. I'm gonna have some fun. You know, but you know, you don't have to hurt anybody doing it, and you know, put the work in so you can enjoy doing it. And good work always brings great fun. Mm-hmm. And when you're doing bad work, where's the fun?
You're doing the work right now. Let's talk about what you're doing. Because I love this new era of you. You know, because listen, you're a motivator. How do we go from football player to entertainer, motivational speaker? Stir the Pearl at the United Way Gala. Stir the Pearl, giving a talk to children at schools. I mean, this is a wonderful new era that you're in. Yeah. What are you doing right now? What's the elevation?
Well, it's to try to keep on paying everything forward, the lessons I've been given. You know, Tearsa, you know, I've been blessed. You know, from the time growing up, in New Jersey, urbanized, the area, and I've been blessed that I got somebody I don't want to hurt.
Yeah.
And some people may not have that, and they got to dig deeper to find that thing they want to protect. And that's the story. That's the deal. I'm blessed to say I got a person I had, and I got people I have. I have a university I have that I want to protect. And friends that my mother always said, if I had more than one friend when I die, I lived a good life. I'm blessed to say I got more than one friend. And I tell that all the time. You got to find that thing that makes you straight up. For those, some it's the Bible, and it's their church, and it's something, that
faith, yeah.
Faith is that thing,
yeah.
And I'm glad I got people, institutions, and ways of life that I want to protect. So if I can pay that forward and tell that story, well, then it multiplies, and so on and so on and so on. And we were around when that commercial was coming up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's easy. It's easy breezy, and I'm just thankful, man. I'm thankful.
Why Knoxville? Because you clearly could have gone, and you've lived other places outside of your college career. But why is this home for you?
I just always liked Knoxville, and Knoxville's always been good to me. It was a time when it wasn't always like it is now, and Knoxville's been good to me. Blessed to say I'm at Beaumont Elementary with Miss Ruckert, and we. Me and Miss Ruckert, and we took a team of kids up to perform in 1992 at the state capitol. Governor Ned McWhirter was the governor at the time, and we performed at the state capitol building, and we kept the DARE program with Officer Bob in Knoxville. We raised the money to keep it here. They were gonna let the DARE program go. And so at that time in my life, Beaumont Elementary and the kids that we dealt with was fun, and that's in the early 90s. After I finished playing ball, and you trying to figure which way to go. I was still able to DJ, I was able to get a job, to do things to, make sure I can stay on the right side. And, and now I'm here now. So Knoxville's always been good to me. So Knoxville adopted me back when I got here in '86, and I'm just thankful I can try to be one of the good sons in this place.
We talked a lot about your DJing and the entertainment side, but do a lot of folks know that you're also an actor? Tell me, how did you kind of dabble in acting?
Oh, that was, it's funny. I actually lucked up into the acting deal, and it's worked out. I have fun with it. I'm not Denzel, but I enjoy my little parts I get. And I'm a regular detective on a couple of shows, and played a couple other roles. And one role I will not play anymore. I don't want to play a bad guy no more. I played a bad guy once, and my mother didn't like seeing me like that, and I didn't either. So, but I'm so happy that I'm able to have fun doing it, because I never had any training being an actor. I've never had any training, but I'm able to say I've gotten shot on a couple of movies. And
weren't you on All Eyes on Me?
All Eyes on Me.
Story on Tupac. Yeah.
And I shot on that show, on that movie, Fatal Attraction, some other shows around Homicide Atlanta, and Joe Kinder. Yeah, it's been a blessing.
I feel like I couldn't see you doing a 9-to-5, like an office job. Do you feel like you figured out what you're supposed to be doing in life? Like, is this it for you, or are you still searching?
Well, when you teach your kids when they're playing sports, don't put all your bags in sports. Don't put all your efforts in athletics, because only a few make it to the NFL, NBA, and able to support their family doing that sport. What's wrong with somebody not putting all their efforts in one thing and then other opportunities come if it's just not sports? So my thing is just trying to grow as a person, because luck, although a lot of people have it, I'm not call myself lucky, but if I prepare myself for the opportunity, when it comes, maybe I'll be ready for it. So I've just got a lot of self-improvement is what I'm into.
Do you ever mentor any of the UT players? Do you have any folks that you like to talk to, or do they ask you about like, hey, let's just talk about life after?
I talk to them all the time, and have times a high five and a joke, but a couple of them I had the opportunity to get a little more intimate with a conversation, and hopefully they took it, and and I'm still taking it when we have those moments. And but what I can say that we got a lot of quality student athletes in our program right now that are, are a lot more headstrong than people give them credit for. And that's a blessing at the University of Tennessee right now, the type of athlete that they're recruiting, women and men. And
I like
so
to hear that.
That's a beautiful thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
You've also done some really neat things in terms of not just, because I know people see you as, oh, he's the DJ on the field and he's getting us hyped up. But you've done like Leadership Knoxville.
Yes.
You've had some positions with the university with Dante Plowman, the chancellor. Like you've kind of dabbled on the business side of Knoxville.
Well, I've got my MBA, so very people know I've got an MBA, and so I know a little bit about business. And
Sterling Henton, an absolute joy. I can't believe you were even this subdued for this interview. All the energy. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Thanks for having me, Tearsa. It's been a blessing. Thank you, baby.